and eventually became the Republican nominee. Despite being a charismatic war hero, he did not have an easy ride to the nomination. He went on to win with the indispensable help of a Democrats for Eisenhower movement. These crossover voters were attracted by his pledge to bring change to Washington and by the prospect that he would unify the nation. And for that reason, you decided that you're for Barack Obama.
Well, that's right. That article was written on February 2nd, which was just before Super Tuesday. And I thought it was important to write it then so that people understood that there was a figure who I thought really could unite this country.
Get a lot of calls from other members of your family?
Oh, well, actually, my family, we're all very supportive of each other. It's a wonderful thing. But I did get a lot of mail, I'll tell you that. A lot of mail.
From not just family members, but old Eisenhower Republicans?
Actually, yes. And you'd be surprised how many of them said, you know, I'm not going to take a public stand, but I'm supporting Obama, too. I was surprised by that. Then I got a lot of other emails from people just saying, what a surprise, that type of thing.
Did you have a long talk with David Eisenhower, married to Julie Nixon?
Well, that's right. We've had lots of, well, he loves politics, so we never stop talking about that. And my father is already a registered independent, as I now am. And so this seems perfectly natural that we should choose our candidates and go for it.
What was it about Barack Obama that prompted you to move to him?
Well, first of all, I got to know him about 1.5 years ago, and I was absolutely impressed by the fact that he was completely open to the expertise of people who came from different parties. And it wasn't just me he was calling others in Washington, and this, frankly, is a pretty novel approach in Washington political scene. And the more I saw of him, the more I liked his style. He has a way of disagreeing without being disagreeable. He has a way of bringing people together and giving them the impression that they really matter. That's critical, by the way, for projecting and really exercising leadership.
Perhaps no president in American history was better prepared to become commander-in-chief than your grandfather, who just led the Allied forces to war in World War II, the greatest war in the history of mankind. Barack Obama, the American voters that we've been talking to, comes up well short on all of that. It's one of the areas in which John McCain leads him by a pretty significant margin, 18 points or more.
Well, first of all, we know that there have been some great presidents, though, who have been, in historical terms, relatively inexperienced. Certainly Abraham Lincoln would be the greatest figure of that group. Also, in terms of foreign policy experience, Ronald Reagan didn't have much foreign policy experience. He had none, actually. He'd been governor of California. Bill Clinton himself had been governor of Arkansas with very little experience in this area. The key is to be a keen listener, to be intellectually curious, and to surround yourself with the right people. And I think Barack Obama's already showing that he's capable of that.
John McCain, graduate of the Naval Academy, prisoner of war in Vietnam, a war hero. His grandfather and his father were probably friends of your grandfather.
That's probably right.
Did you hear from the McCain campaign?
I haven't heard from the campaign, but I'm sure that they would respect my right to choose my candidate as well. I think there are going to be huge crossovers this year. First of all, there's a new generation that's in play, but I think you're going to find some Democrats voting Republican and certainly some Republicans voting for Obama. It's just that kind of a year.
The Eisenhower family has been deeply involved in the people-to-people program.
Right.
Is that an issue that is of particular interest to you? I just spent part of the morning on a panel talking about how America repairs its image in the world.
Right.
Is that an important criterion for you as well?
I think it's critically important. Now, I travel to places east. I go to Russia and the former Soviet Union a lot. I go to Central Asia and, of course, Western Europe. But I'll tell you, our standing in the world is at an all-time low. And this really affects our ability to use the leverage of leadership to stop crises before they start. I think it's order of business number one.
When your grandfather was running for president, there was some intramural battles in the Republican Party. Robert Taft comes to mind, obviously. Did you watch Hillary Clinton last night?
Well, it was fascinating to see, and I think this party is going to pull itself together. I'm not a Democrat, but I think they will pull it together because everybody understands what's at stake.
Susan Eisenhower, I guess we'll have some buttons made for you that say, I like Ike, .. and Barack, too.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Thanks very much for being with us.
Great to see you.
Okay,
Take care.
Democrats